All right, Mafia, get ready because this is the game. All right, this is the game that the Buffalo Bills spent the entire offseason dealing with, trying to prepare for, right? What happened? What was wrong? The AFC Championship game last season, we lost in Arrowhead to the Chiefs because our defensive line couldn't generate enough pressure and our run game wasn't able to do anything and help out Josh Allen all day long. So what did we do? Well, we drafted Greg Rousseau, defensive end, edge rusher, the Mahomes mauler, if you will. Then we drafted Boogie Basham just to be safe, the Patrick Punisher. That was the deal. These guys are here to take down Patrick Mahomes. Our run game has also been taken off a little bit, so that thing is running and ready to go. So this team was engineered to walk into Arrowhead, say hi to the Chiefs, and beat them into the dirt and end their season. So I'm hoping that that's what happens.
And now the Bills are on the rise again.
It is pandemonium. It is fantastic.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Good Neighbors Sports. As always, I'm your host, Austin Hinton, and if you are new here, we talk Buffalo Bills football. So if you like that kind of thing, if you like the Bills, and if you like their chances to get to the Super Bowl, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's fun to do. It helps me out, and it helps the Buffalo Bills win some games. Every time you guys like and subscribe, they win a game. So we only got a few more left. Come on. Get it done. This is going to be a phenomenal game, right? I mean, this Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes matchup is going to deliver classic after classic after classic for 5-10 years, at least. This is the second one, I would say. Last year the Buffalo Bills, they're 0-1. Okay, we did run into them week 5, but we took care of business. I wouldn't say that was the rematch. This weekend, Sunday is the rematch. Okay, we did run into them week 5. Like I said, we crushed them a little bit, but it's a totally different team. And I'll get into that later on, but they started off pretty slow. The 3rd seed Buffalo Bills, who ended the season 11-6, are taking on the 2nd seed Kansas City Chiefs, who ended their season 12-5. And both teams kind of had a similar storyline throughout the season, if you will. The Buffalo Bills, they started off hot. If you get rid of that Steelers game, I mean, we had a couple of shutouts against the Dolphins. Who else? The Texans, I don't know. I mean, bad teams, but the Dolphins turned on a little bit at the end. Regardless, there was a bit of a roller coaster through the middle of the season. We were hot one week and we were cold the next, and it just kept going for like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Finally broke that and had a very strong finish to the season and are very hot right now in the playoffs. The Chiefs had a horrible start. Their defense was just nowhere to be found. It was probably like bottom of the barrel of the league. I remember seeing it like ranked 31 of 32 in terms of like yards allowed, points scored, stuff like that. They're just bad. But throughout the middle of the season, they gained some traction and they started to look more like the 2019-2020 Kansas City Chiefs that we're all used to. I attributed their slow start to the Buffalo Bills playoff curse. If you remember, every team that beats the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs goes on to just stink. So the first one was the Jaguars, the second one was the Texans, and the third one was the Chiefs. The first 2 teams, obviously in the dumpster right now. The Chiefs started off pretty bad, and I was like, this curse is a thing. But nope, maybe it hindered them a little bit, but not towards the end. They're still the Chiefs. On the offensive side of things, the Buffalo Bills passing offense has gotten dialed in pretty nicely. Obviously, you got Josh Allen behind center, so anytime you got him there, you got a chance. I mean, our receivers are just weapon after weapon, just like the Chiefs. And I'd say our passing offenses are very, very similar. Maybe not in scheme in the way we do some things and who we got at quarterback, but I mean, they're very strong. Our passing offense has been very good. Also, our rushing offense has been phenomenal. We're the number 1 rushing offense is in terms of DVOA, which if you want, give it a look up. DVOA stands for something, but it's basically a metric that measures the strength of a team based on, their opponents and different metrics, and it's widely accepted as a pretty accurate metric. Buffalo Bills, number 1 rushing in DVOA over the last 8 weeks. We started off the first 10 weeks, number 25. So to going from 25 to 1, pretty big leap. For the Chiefs offense, they're number 1 in DVOA for passing, which they, for the last 8 weeks. They were number 15 for the first 10 weeks. But, our rushing offense, I guess, which I would never have guessed, is just dominant right now. And their passing offense is just as dominant. Our passing offense is pretty good too. Their rushing offense is capable, but I don't think it's turned the kind of corner that the Buffalo Bills rushing offense has. For Buffalo, the addition of Ryan Bates on the offensive line has just helped tremendously to generate that kind of rushing offense. So Ryan Bates has just been a gem, a diamond in the rough for sure. And for the Chiefs offense, their game plan is going to have to be to just spread it out, right? I mean, we know about Hill, we know about Kelsey. Sure, they can target them all day long, but our passing defense has been pretty stout, pretty stellar stuff. So they can't just bully us like that. I mean, Levi Wallace has filled in nicely for Trey White, except last week against the Pats, I wouldn't say so. I'd say maybe if there was a weak link and it's not Tyler Bass missing some extra points, I would say it might have been Levi Wallace because he was just getting cooked a couple times. If it wasn't for that Micah Hyde interception, Levi Wallace would be the one we're looking at for that touchdown getting taken. Regardless, the Chiefs are going to have to spread it out. They got a lot of weapons just like we do. They got Mecole Hardman. They got Byron Pringle, who's doing a lot of work for them as of recent. I mean, their running game is the question mark. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was banged up a bit. He was on the injury report, but they've been able to get some success with some other guys as well. So who knows? They're going to have to run the ball at us, and so are we. But that's their game plan. I'm expecting is to pass it out. I wouldn't expect one receiver, one passing target to get all of the attention, but I'd say they need to spread it out and they need to run it on us. We can kind of wash out the quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen has been absolutely elite, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. So I think that those two can cancel each other out. Their capabilities are different. Josh Allen is big and he can run and he's athletic. Mahomes is also athletic. He can run. He's shifty. He extends plays and ad-libs just as well. Every play is alive if the ball is in his hands, just like Josh Allen. So there's not too much to compare with those two. I'd say it's a wash in general. Honestly, I'd give the edge to Josh Allen just because not that many teams have him figured out like a lot of teams have Patrick Mahomes figured out, but it seems like they've been able to get around all those defensive schemes that teams have thrown up against them. So we'll see how we fare against them as well. Defensively, the Buffalo Bills have just been dominant. I mean, what else is there to say? Number one in the league. It's ridiculous. They showed some give against the Pats, but I mean, just anytime that the window was open a little bit, they just came in and slammed it shut. So I'm hoping the same thing happens, but this is the game where we're really going to feel that Trey White absence because obviously they like to pass it around, and Trey White takes away a whole target for him, a whole weapon. We can't rely on him because he's not going to be in the game. So we got Levi Wallace. Hopefully he steps up. Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson, these guys are just going to have themselves a day, and I'm expecting them to. I mean, our pass defense is, the stats will talk for themselves. For the Chiefs here, they need to stop our run. I mean, our run, like I said, number one in DVOA for the last 8 weeks. Both Josh and Singletary need to get stopped if the Chiefs want anything, if they want to force us to punt at all. I mean, our yards per attempt has just been insane. They also struggled a bit in their wild card round, but I mean, after a little bit, it's just they turned the gas on just like we did, and there was no chance for the Steelers after maybe like the first quarter. The biggest additions to their defense that have helped them big time and make this defense a completely different squad than we ran into in week 5 is Melvin Ingram and Chris Jones. Melvin Ingram causes big pressure and has just been a huge force on their D-line. And he's been able to actually allow for Chris Jones to move into the interior and just been able to be an absolute disruptive force as well. This is a completely different defensive line that we're running into. Their secondary and everything has just gotten better as the season has gone on. So don't expect us to run into that same garbage bottom of the barrel defense that we did early on. But also don't expect this defense to slow down our offense much at all. I think that we're going to just be pretty damn dominant on both sides of the field. Now, we've talked about offense, we've talked about defense, and normally I don't really talk about special teams, but here we go. We have to. A little bit of a detour here. A lot of people will tell you Josh Allen is, the Buffalo Bills can only go as far as Josh Allen takes them. If Josh Allen's hot, then we're going to win. If Josh Allen's cold, we're going to lose. I'd say that same mentality should be placed on the special teams for this game. If Matt Hawk doesn't mess anything up, we should be okay. But he has not been good, and we haven't seen him because we haven't punted. Our special teams has just been a little bit suspect. Maybe it's because they're rusty or whatever. I have no idea, but as long as our special teams does not screw anything up and maybe force them to screw something up on a kick or punt return. If we can catch all our kick and punt returns, don't fumble them. If Matt Hawk can pin them inside their own 15, 20-yard line every time, and he's not just boofing off 30-yarders. I mean, we have a chance. So if our special teams doesn't mess up, the only way I see us losing big time is if our special teams just gives up. And I don't see it happening, but man, if it does, that'll be a huge disappointment. So overall, this game is going to be a close one. The Chiefs are favored as of recording this by 1.5 points. Things might change, obviously. I mean, just recently, Willie Gay, their linebacker, was just arrested. Nothing crazy. He got in an argument with his, I think, girlfriend or something, and broke her vacuum. She calls the cops, and they get involved. And I think he's actually still in custody right now. So I don't know. His game time availability is up in the air. So their defense might take a hit down. That might change some things. But right now, the Chiefs 1.5 point favorites. But 63% of the bets are on the Bills to win the game. The over-under is 54.5, and 68% of the bets are on the over. So America thinks that, or the world, I guess, thinks Buffalo Bills are winning, and it's going to be a high-scoring game. But the Chiefs are the favorites. It's going to be a game for the ages, I guess you could say. This is what we're going to be seeing probably this time a year, every single year. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be a matchup to watch for years to come, and I'm glad we got Josh Allen on our side. I wouldn't trade him for anyone in the damn league. So that's all I got for you guys today. This has been another episode of Good Neighbor Sports. I'm Austin Hinton, and as always, be good to your neighbors, and go Bills.